Now, in this video, I'm going to share how me and Kenady met from my side of the story. Now, I'm going to get into some real and raw events that's never been shared before, whether it was in our book, Completely Married, or even on YouTube. I know a lot of people really enjoyed that video that I did on how God revealed to Kenady first that I was her husband. But I want to back up a little bit before that event. And so if you did not watch that video, you can go watch that video. I'm going to pin it at the end of this particular video. But before we get into the story, do me a favor, hit the like button and also subscribe. Now, there were two events that happened where I remember Kenady specifically, and they was around 2014. Now, the second instance that I remember Kenady was at a Christmas event at our church, and we had a Soul Train line that was going on. And I remember that Kenady was on the Soul Train and she was about to dance. Again, I was very, very serious person. I think I had a suit on at the time. Like it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. But I do remember Kenady in that she was trying to be the life of the party at the time. And I thought she was a shy girl, but not in this instance. And so there was a song that came on, and y'all, when I tell you Kenady showed out, why did Kenady start doing the worm? Like, no, for real. Like the worm, y'all. Like full body, the worm, y'all. It was crazy. And I was like, Kenady. And I knew, I was like, man, she too much for me. She is too much for me. And I remember this because it was like everybody was hyped up. She literally was the star of the show. And I asked her later, like, how did you know how to do the worm? And she revealed to me that she was a mascot for a college. And I was like, a mascot? Like you had to put on an outfit? And she said, yeah. And I was like, wow. And so all of that, I was like, okay, yeah, Kenady is doing a lot. She's doing a lot. And so fast forward to 2015, the women's conference. Again, I'm going to post that video at the end of this video. We had this women's conference where God actually told Kenady that I was her husband. And I didn't tell this story, but in 2016, I was at church, like our main church, and we used to go to the Saturday night service. And Kenady, for years, would sit right behind me, whether it's one or two seats behind me, and I would turn around usually, say, hey, what's up, Kenady? And she would say, hey, what's up? And put her head down because, again, everybody knew me as the demon slayer. And people think if you look in the eyes of a demon slayer, they might see the demons inside of you. And so Kenady would always just throw her hands up, throw her head up, and throw her head back down. Like this is what she would do. But on this particular Saturday, something was different. Kenady was no longer behind me. She was actually beside me, but she brought another man to church. Like, I was like, what is this? Kennedy's in a relationship because I never knew her in a relationship. Again, this was like at the end of 2016. And so I looked at Kenady, I looked at the young man, and I gave them the heads up, and me and Kenady locked eyes for the very first time in a different way. And I don't know what happened, but it was so weird. And then I had this thought that rushed in my mind, like, bro, everybody's getting in a relationship. And even Kenady is in a relationship, man. She's about to get married. And I'm going to be single for a long time because in that season, everybody was jumping into relationships and getting married. And for some reason, I said, man, I lost my chance. And I didn't even think that I lost my chance with her, but it was just a weird kind of look that we had that day. And so fast forward in 2017, the Falcons go into the Super Bowl. And right after that, Kenady was right behind me in church again. And I didn't know what went on. I didn't see the guy come back to church anymore. And I was like, okay, Kennedy's single again, I guess, or this guy never went to our church. But I really never knew what was going on in her life personally. And so I guess Kenady will share that particular side of the story. And so in 2017, during the summer of 2017, I head on a mission trip to Rome. And that was very pivotal to my life because I really learned that I was ready for marriage. And I really detail all the events in that story in our book, Completely Married. But when I came back, I knew that God was calling me for marriage because of the different dreams and the different confirmations between my brothers and even my business partner. But on February 22nd, 2018, that's when everything changed. You see, I was on Facebook just scrolling and I saw a picture of this girl. And I was like, who is that? And I'm telling you, my eyes were open. And I was like, bruh, that girl fine in a mug, bruh. Who is that? And I looked at the name and it was Kenady. And I was like, Kenady. And there was this picture where she was laying on a bench. And I was like, my goodness, is she looking at me? And then I saw another picture where Kenady was walking down a train track looking into my soul. And I was like, bruh, is she saying walk into my life? And I was like, yeah, I think she's saying walk into my life, bro. And so I was like, okay, I gotta make a move. Like, bro, like I really have to say something. I'm 30 something years old. I had to man up in that moment for real. And I was like, that girl is fine and I need to talk to her. And so I go into my DM and I put one of the lamest messages that this world has ever seen. And I typed it out and I was like, hey girl, why are you stealing other people's headshots? And I was like, bro, what am I saying? And so you know how it is, guys. Like if you listening to this, you will send this message that you have a crush on and you just close your phone and throw it. So I closed the phone and threw it on the bed and walked away. And I went downstairs and like get some orange juice or something. You know how it is. And I come back to the phone and she still hasn't responded within 2 minutes. And I was like, man, bro, that was so lame, bro. Like she's never gonna talk to me again, bro. So I close the phone again, walk away, and I come back and she responded and I was like, oh crap. So I opened up the phone to see what she said and she was like, yeah, I'm not stealing other people's headshot. This was a photo shoot. And I was like, bro, I just offended the girl that I'm attracted to. So I was like, bro, like, okay, you have to go into repair mode right now. Like, what do you need to say? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I repent. I hope I didn't offend you. And then she quickly responded, no, you didn't offend me. I'm just playing. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, she playing with your boy. Okay, now this is good because I'm a jokester too. And so that night we was just going back and forth, back and forth. And I was just trying to reconnect and just see what she was up to. And she was in school at the time trying to finish up the dietetics program. And again, I'm just going back and forth. And I remember what my boy said. He said, if a young lady is continuing to talk to you, she's interested. Just keep the conversation going. And this is what happened. And it was getting kind of late that day. And I was like, I want to make sure I start this relationship off on the right foot. And so I was like, okay, it's getting kind of late right now. I'm going to talk to you later. And she was like, okay, we'll talk later. And so I closed out the app. Again, we're texting through DM. And the next day I reach out and she responds. And the next day I reach out and she responds. And the conversation is going well. And I was like, okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking the pace. I'm not doing too much. And you can tell we are very interested in each other. We started to send different scriptures back and forth to each other. And then I started to let my community know that I'm talking to a young lady. And so when I was reaching out to the fellas to get advice about the situation, they asked me this one thing: Damien, do you have her number yet? And I was like, bruh, like, I don't even have her number. And so I go back to her and I say, hey, man, like, the boys are getting on me. Can I get your number? And crickets, y'all. Like, she didn't even respond to that message. And I was like, man, she's always responding. Why is she leaving my message unread? And I'm talking about for a minute too. And Kenady said that she bit off all of her nails when I asked for her number. And again, she can tell her side of the story. But I was like, bro, like, why you take so long? And she gives this excuse that she's not trying to give her number out at this time because of some personal reasons. And so I said, listen, I respect that. Nevertheless, a couple days later, I get her area code. And a couple days after that, she gives me 3 more numbers. And I was like, bruh, 6 out of 10 ain't bad, but where's the other numbers? I was like, why are you playing these games? And I was like, look, I respect you and I'm here for the long run. However, I did have something up my sleeve. At the time, Facebook started Facebook audio. And so one day I just pushed Facebook audio, boom, and it started to ring her phone. And she was like, hold on, how you get my number? And look, we just started to talk on Facebook audio since I didn't have her number. And that was so interesting just to talk to her and hear her voice each and every day. And again, she would call me in the morning and I would call her, or even at night, and we would share Bible studies. And I remember this one Bible study when I knew that my whole life changed, when I shared John 21. And John 21 was very special to me because God gave me this revelation that I never seen before. And when I shared it with Kenady, she was like, yeah, I want to listen to it. And she sat there and she gave me different perspectives and different answers that I never seen before. And I was like, man, I really like this girl, because usually I would pour into people and they will never pour back into me. And so Kenady would start talking about herself, though. She started having negative self-talk. Also, she was trying to sabotage the relationship. She would talk about her age and that she's not mature enough. And then she just snapped out of that because I was like, I had this boldness. I was like, you don't even talk like that. Stop that. I'm still going to pursue you. And she started talking about my age. And again, she would talk about her baggage. And I was like, stop that. Like, you don't even talk like that. And she said, I know. And she was continuing to self-sabotage. And she knew that she was being drawn in. And I was being drawn in as well. And so I felt that it was time to transition into asking her out on a date, to ask her into courtship. So one Saturday, I invited her to church. And I said, listen, can we go out on tomorrow, which was a Sunday? And she said, yeah, sure. So the next day I invited her to Stone Mountain for a walk. So we arrived at Stone Mountain and we stretched a little bit before, had some water, and headed up the mountain. And listen, y'all, I was gassed. I was so tired. I was out of shape. Like, my basketball shape was just gone to the wayside. Like, I haven't played basketball in a long, long time. And I was just huffing and puffing. And we get to the midpoint and we were sitting down under this gazebo. If you understand Stone Mountain and going up the mountain, there's this like rest area. And me and Kenady sat there and I asked Kenady a very strategic question. I said, do you want to continue this walk? And she said, yes. And I believe it was a prophetic moment in our relationship and what our relationship will entail later. That there's going to be some times where we rest, but we still have to go up that mountain. And so we continued to go up the mountain. Again, we both was gassed. I see Kenady huffing and puffing. I'm huffing and puffing, just trying to talk to her on the way. And at the top of the mountain, there's this medallion on the mountain. And I told her, let's touch it together. And we touched that medallion. And I was like, man, I need to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom and Kenady goes and finds a spot where we're sitting on the side of the mountain together. And when I come back, I pull out a letter. In that letter, I talk about some sappy stuff. I'm not going to lie. But one thing that I remember saying in that letter was that mountains are hard to walk up alone. But when you walk up with somebody else, it makes it that much easier. Do you want to enter into courtship with me? And she was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, yes or no. You can do all this. Oh my goodness. But I need an answer. I need some definite here. And she says, oh yeah, yes. And so that day I gave her a completely single sweatshirt and I also gave her a wristband. This is Kenady reading her card for today. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Where'd you find this card?
I know, exactly.
Did you make this on your own?
It's author stuff.
So sweet. Sorry, another letter?
A letter.
So specific.
You gotta make it.
Oh. Thank you. Can I get...
So what is that? Hold on. What are you gonna say?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I gotta put the camera down real quick. So that is your see, look, she got a bag.
I got a sweater too. Thank you.
Now your hair can be warm.
Yay.
Going down.
Now I got a hoodie.
And you get a bracelet too.
Yay.
So she said yes.
Yes.
and she had something for me. And so she pulls out a letter, and it was all in this origami stuff. And I started to read the letter, and it was really, really nice. But at the end of that letter, she says 4818, not only today's date, but the last 4 digits of my number. And I was like, what?
Not just, but also. Stop playing.
I'm not playing.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
Now unwrap your gift.
That is crazy.
Kenady did not know that I was going to ask her into courtship, and I did not know that she was going to give me her last digits of her phone number, which was that day's date. And so we knew at that moment, and I personally knew at that moment, that Kenady was the one. So we sat there in silence on the side of Stone Mountain, looking over the city of Atlanta, and it was cloudy. However, we knew in that moment that this was special. And I personally knew that this was going to be my wife. So after Stone Mountain, we walked back down and actually went to Applebee's for our first official date together as a couple. And we have not looked back since. And I could not be more blessed to have Kenady as my wife. This is our love story and how we met from my side of the story. And what I've noticed is a lot of people try to write their own story. But what I know is that God writes the best stories. Now, if you want help in your story, if you want people to walk alongside you during your journey, whether you're a single or even someone who is dating, me and Kenady have opened up our calendars just for you. If you have the time, the energy, and the resources to invest in your future, in the description below is a link. And on that link is an application. Fill that application out. We're going to look over your application and see if this is a good fit. And if it is a good fit, we're going to jump on a call with you and see where you are, where you want to go, and develop a roadmap so you can honor God and glorify God in your relationship. Now, if you want to see other videos on how to prepare to be a wife or a husband, or how God revealed to my wife that I was her husband first, you can watch one of these videos right here.